Hello and welcome to episode 156 of Random Encounter, the RPG fan podcast. I am your host, Derek Heemsbergen. I'm Embryonix on Twitter. That's at EMBRYONX. And it is our last show of 2018, everybody. Very happy to be joined by two of my usual partners in crime. I've got Caitlin Ardros.
Hey guys, Leanne Kazarel on Twitter and pretty much everywhere. LIAN_KAZAIRL because I am difficult.
Well, thank you for finally spelling it for us these past couple episodes, so now we know where to find you.
Just spelling it out.
Yep, and that's the voice of my other co-host. It's Greg Delmage.
That's me. I'm Greg Delmage, and you can find me as @GregDelmage on the Twitter and the Instagrams, and just I think GDelme on the Discord if you want to chat with me about board games and stuff. I'm here.
And a fun little known fact, his last name Delmage is actually Spanish for of the mage.
You wish. Actually, I wish.
Just
that
kidding.
Would be amazing.
You actually hail from the Black Mage village of Final Fantasy IX. It's where your family was born. And
Yes, I wear a mask the whole time, and what my face actually is a glowing yellow-eyed in a black abyss.
Yeah. His real name is Vivi. Little known fact.
Vivi Delmage.
So Greg Delmage is actually just his his pen name.
It's my performer name, exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to
get a better face, get a better name if I wanted to be something in this industry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need a face. Period is the thing. not just a black abyss.
Yeah, they got a little creeped out by the leading man having no face.
Yeah, it also makes it a little bit harder to express the wide gamut of emotions necessary of an actor. Anyway, we're letting this run way too long. It is it's almost the end of the year. We have had a crazy year full of video game releases, which seems to have been the case the last few years in general. But once again, 2018 delivered a huge amount of just amazing video games that we have hopefully dished our thoughts on in sufficiently eloquent fashion over the course of the year. But as always, there's a lot to look forward to in 2018 and a lot to look forward to that we haven't gotten around to from 2018. So before we really get into any sort of predictions or year-end wrap-up stuff, which actually that I would like to do on our next episode following our Game of the Year feature on the website, I just want to check in with everybody. I know that y'all haven't been playing anything super new and crazy in the realm of RPGs lately, but Caitlin, you've still been on your tactics kick with Tactics Ogre, is that right?
That is correct, yes. It's good. It's very good.
Heck yeah, it is. I need to get back around to that one. That's one that I really need to rebuy for Vita or something digitally so I can play it, because I have my PSP, but that poor thing hasn't been charged in like a year or two.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I've still got I think I've still got a copy of Tactics Ogre somewhere. I did recently discover my Tactics Ogre tarot cards in one of my storage bins.
Oh, nice.
Those look so nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I thought I had lost them forever, and I was like, yes, score. That art is so good, I could even see myself doing a tattoo of it or something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
like the whole game.
Yeah. Do you have any like additional thoughts since the last time we talked about it? Still enjoying it? Still think it's good?
I'm still working my way through. I haven't I'm on the neutral path, so I haven't quite finished that yet, and I still have to do Law on Chaos, so I have a lot still left to do. Basically just been playing for a couple of hours while I'm at work and I'm bored, because my work is awesome and I can play games if I want to. Yeah. So there's a lot to do, but I'm still. It's amazing how much it's scratching that specifically the Final Fantasy Tactics SRPG itch. And I mean, of course, it's makes sense. It's from the same team, but I didn't realize how much I really wanted another game so closely kind of in how it runs to tactics. Like I've played other SRPGs and I've enjoyed them, but there was something really magical about tactics and being able to experience a very tactics-like kind of game with Tactics Ogre, but with interesting differences and even a couple of things that I like that it does better than Final Fantasy Tactics is it's been a lot of fun. And I am still kicking myself for taking this long to actually start playing through it in earnest. So I'm a dummy, but I'm trying to fix that.
No, and if like one thing that I think it can do well is scratch that itch for Matsuno's writing that has probably been rekindled in recent years with the Zodiac Age and then the Evil stuff in FF14. So now you can kind of like really delve into a full-length Matsuno story.
It's really great writing, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, and I guess you probably went through what the rest of us did too, when those little like bits of like the final, what could have been Final Fantasy Tactics 2 kind of stuff got released? Was it last year? It was over this past year, yeah. Those little things in that magazine blurb and everything, like what could have been.
Oh, I don't really remember.
It was looking like it was hex based. I feel like someone was sharing it around. I think our good old Solosi over at Retro Encounter and everything else. He was sharing that around. I think that article that had been written from. Why am I forgetting who I think it was the producer on that for Tactics? Who's like the creative helm?
Well, Yasumi Matsuno is like the writer, right?
Yeah. And isn't there one other person who's like really integral to that whole project?
Yeah, it's escaping me.
Yeah, right. It's right there. Anyways, they had been talking to some magazine lately about it, and it got translated and sent over here, and like we could see like what very much looked like the Final Fantasy Tactics Monk, and like something else like on a kind of like a hex base six-sided. For those who don't know, kind of grid field, and changing it up a bit, and just it would have been very neat to see more of that world, like Caitlin was saying, but just kind of taking it again in a different direction to keep scratching the itch and refining on what was already a really solid game.
Yeah, Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together is one that I also I didn't beat it. I didn't even get close to beating it, and I can't really pinpoint why I ever stopped playing it. And I think also just from looking at screenshots and stuff of it recently, because my boyfriend was also replaying it not too long ago, I feel like the writing in that has aged really, really well, just like in 12. So it's still like, regardless of when it released, I think the art style holds up, the music, the writing, it's all something that's immensely playable. So I would love to see that on a modern console like Nintendo Switch, which is something that we're constantly saying about every game that we want to replay. But
that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, it holds true.
Have either of you played Night of Lotus, the one that was on the GBA?
Yeah, no. I don't remember a lot about it. I remember that I had it, but that's it.
Mike Wasilowski was also saying that one was a really nice hidden gem. We talked about it briefly on the Thirst for Battle episode that just came out, if I recall correctly. But he was saying it's a nice gem that is one of those ones that I thought it was just another version of Let Us Cling Together that kind of came in between, but apparently it's a completely different story, I guess.
Mm-hmm. The GBA had a lot of good hidden gem RPGs. It had like Golden Sun 1 and 2, which aren't really hidden gems, but they were there. They had like the ports of Breath of Fire 1 and 2.
My favorite album, Breath and Fire.
Breath and Fire. Sigma Star Saga was cool and weird.
That yoga to it. No, the GBA was like a weird era where like I fell off of, like I just wasn't paying attention to anything in game news. But I think that's also maybe when I finally got a PlayStation, so I think I was just focused on those RPGs. I can't remember
understandably. This is totally tangential, but speaking of Final Fantasy related things from the past, the Ultimania Final Fantasy Archive art book Volume 2 just released in North America in English. Sweet. And for those who are unaware, the Ultimanias are like the sort of definitive Final Fantasy Bibles or whatever you want to call them, and they have really exhaustive information on they have a lot of design work, so not just art but like character concepts and story concepts written out. They've translated all the drafts and stuff for their brainstorming. They have character profiles, area art. What else? They're basically just anything that you would want to know about the design stuff of any past Final Fantasy is in there pretty much. And so Volume 1 There are also these like beautiful hardbound tomes. They're tall size. I forget what the dimensions are, but maybe like 14 by.
They're not a little coffee table book.
Yeah, they're a big coffee table book. But Volume 1 came out earlier this year, and it covered Final Fantasies 1 through 6, and then Volume 2 just came out this past week, and it covers 7, 8, and 9. And even though this one only covers 3 games, it really goes more in depth on all of them. And there's so much stuff that I had either forgotten about or didn't really remember. Well, that's the same thing. I didn't remember, or I didn't like process at the time, because I was thinking that specifically FF8, I don't think I've played that one in full since around the time it released, and even then I never beat it myself. I stopped when when you get to Esthar. For some reason I fell off of it, and I've never actually completed it myself. So reading all the design materials and stuff for FF8 really made me want to
rekindling it.
Yeah, it makes you want to go back and replay it. And FF8, I think, has some of the most phenomenal monster design.
Yeah,
there's like so many weird. There's like a lot of alien type creatures and primordial, like bestial creatures. It's so impressive. There's so much, and a really cool fusion of technology and wow, what was I going to say? It's cool. Like the environment's technologically advanced. There's a lot of and the pre-rendered backgrounds in that game are so lavish and so well executed. And I was just saying this on Twitter, but I really miss pre-rendered backgrounds. And I know a lot of it is nostalgia, but I think there's something really charming and special about the like late 90s era, maybe early 2000s era of CG, like
the matte paintings, basically.
Like what?
I think they're basically like all matte paintings.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of really fascinating CG work being done during that time, because it was in its early stages, really.
Yeah.
And before we got into games that had fully traversable, like 3D environments that you could rotate the camera in and everything, which is fine. I think that the pre-rendered background kind of allows the artist to express a very particular mood or intention that the player sort of has to interpret as such, because they can't manipulate the environment. So like you have to see this area exactly the way the artist intended you to see this area, which I think is really cool.
It can be so easy to just gloss over that. And I mean, you know, I've definitely seen some moments from like friends of mine, yourselves, like, and Caitlin, where like you'll share like screenshots where you've captured like, oh, here's this stellar view in Horizon Zero Dawn, or Derek, you were talking about how you enjoyed just like climbing a mountain and just seeing the view in like Breath of the Wild. Like there's obviously gamers out there who still can appreciate just those random set pieces, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who just are happy to have the freedom and just go through and just gloss over all that stuff. Whereas we have the pre-rendered, you were forced into, like, it was there. You had to recognize those set pieces. You couldn't miss it.
And I don't necessarily mean to make it like a value judgment either, and saying that one is better than the other. I just think that they communicate something different, and I think it was special, and I kind of miss seeing that more often. So I think FF8 has really phenomenal art design, and I've sort of been reawakened to that through reading this Ultimania book. So I highly, highly recommend it if you are a fan of Final Fantasy to like even a moderate degree. These books they're not too expensive. Volume 2 was on sale this past week for like $16 or something like that. And these are big. Like the retail prices, they're $40 retail price a piece, but I've seen them both drop in the low 10s, 15 to 20ish. It's so worth it. And then Volume 3 comes out in, I believe, March or April, and that covers 10 through 14, I believe.
Where's the tactics one?
That I'm gonna get.
Yes.
So it's gonna have 12 and 14. I'm sold.
I could be wrong on 14. I know for sure. Let's see. I'm gonna look this up really fast. FF Ultimania Volume 3. Here we go. I'm looking it up, everybody, on the Googles. It covers 10 through 14. 10, 11, 12 through 14.
Wow. That's a big one.
That releases on April 9th. Right now on Amazon, you can pre-order it for $29, and you can get $5 off with their holiday promo. So get on it.
I was going to say, fun fact with FF8, I did finally end up beating it. And when I got to the end, all of like the cutscene, or not the cutscene, because it wasn't a full rendered one. It was the actual, like, just where they're talking, in-game engine stuff. All the text was like gobbledygook. It was just all this random like gibberish. And I was like, oh, weird. But it was all kind of, it seemed like after the battle, like everything was surreal. So I thought that's what was supposed to happen. So I just kind of like went through it all and was like, okay, cool, I guess, whatever. I don't know what just happened. And it wasn't for like a little bit. I looked up something on YouTube and finally saw that like, oh no, my copy just had a weird glitch and a flaw and all the text got garbled at the end. So I rewatched the ending like a few weeks later, like on YouTube, and actually understood what happened at the end.
Whoa, that is weird.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
Like it was just all like just all these mixed up letters, and I was just like, that's weird.
Did it happen every time?
I haven't tried doing it again. I've been wanting to go back through it again because it was weird. I bounced off FF8 the very first time I ever tried it, and then like a good 6-7 years later, I tried it again and actually really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't mind going back again. And then I would like be curious to see if it was just like a one-time weird, this switch hit that switch hit this thing to garble it, or if it's a consistent glitch on my copy on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
that'd be really interesting if it was consistent.
Right? I could sell that to some glitch monger.
A glitch monger. Well, I mean, Rob is a glitch lich, but he's not here, so
right. Yeah, him and Annette both. Every time he would share a glitch story, I was just like, that happened to Annette, or this weird bizarre thing. She finds glitches a lot too. It's very funny to watch.
It's kind of too bad that Final Fantasy VIII is the one that has been overlooked in terms of these re-releases. Like, it's not on PS4 and it's not going to be on Switch either.
Yeah, which I understand is a rights thing because of I think Eyes on Me, Eyes on You, whatever it is.
Eyes on
Fei
Me.
Wong's. So I think that's the biggest issue, which is weird. And it's just like, can they not just re-record it? Can they not just does Square not have the money to throw at her? Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah, I mean, when Xseed, it was Xseed when they did Lunar, the Silver Star, whatever it was called, for the one for PSP. It's called
Silver Star
Silver Star Harmony, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds right.
When they did that, they re-recorded the songs.
Yeah, and they weren't as good.
They weren't as good. You're right.
I said it.
Yeah.
Derek and I are connoisseurs of the boat song, and it's not as good as in the original. Well, for me, it was the original, the PlayStation release.
It's certainly not good enough to sing together and wherever we were. Where did we sing it? Were we just at the restaurant that we were having dinner at?
Yeah.
I just love YouTube just bursting out into.
I mean, we did. To be fair,
I'm surprised that no one else like got out their phone and did like an impromptu record, and then post to Twitter.
Look at these effing weirdos. What are they even singing? Is this Aladdin? No. Better than Aladdin.
I see no Will Smith
Aladdin.
So, I mean, as long as we're going back into the past, Greg, you said you've also been doing some older games, and speaking of Final Fantasy, even you're doing your own tactics stuff, right?
Yes. I went to some more of the lines. I think I mentioned it on the last episode that I picked it up when it was on sale back at Black Friday because it was just like, it's $5. How can I not? And I just enjoyed the heck out of that game. And I think that's where we got into some conversation about this. But yeah, it's just been nice revisiting it, grinding the heck out of that game, getting myself I wanted to be a Lancer by the time I fought Algus. So
okay, so I know chapter 1.
Yeah. So I just started chapter 2. The meager is chapter 1. I'm forgetting the name of chapter 2, but yeah, I just started into that and just kind of running around. I don't even got Boko yet, so I haven't got that far. Although I did see a chocobo named Boko that was just in a random fight as like he was a random guest ally. You know how every once in a while you'll get those random encounters?
Yes.
Where one of the monsters will be on your side or something like that, but you don't actually recruit them. But his name was Boko, which is weird.
I hope you were next to him.
I did.
Oh, you have a history.
We saved him, and so it's really nice seeing how much they've spruced up the localization. Like I played through it a bit on my back of my iPod before it went missing, but it's just a nice reminder of just how much all these story beats hit. There's a few moments where it gets a little too ham-fisted how much they were trying to like make it Old English, when it's just like you didn't have to go that far. As someone who has done Shakespearean texts often enough and lives with a Shakespeareophile, you didn't have to go that far. But I get what you were going for, so that's fine.
Yeah, that translation is very flowery, but I think
it serves it better.
It fits, yeah.
So that's been a really nice revisit to the past. And the other thing while I've been revisiting in the past through the This Day in Gaming videos, one thing when you were mentioning with Ultimania, how like 1 through 6 is in one book, and then we have 7, 8, 9 in one book. Noticing when I've been doing games from like the Super Nintendo era to ones in the PlayStation era, as soon as we got 3D graphics, designers really wanted to take time. Like everything got so big and flashy, and like FFA is definitely guilty of that with its summons. I think we've talked about that in the past. But like everything just takes so much longer. I'll be trying to make these 30-second clips, and like one like special move animation will just eat up the entire clip. Whereas like I get away with so much more in Final Fantasy like 1 or something like that. And I think that's just goes to show like with these design books, just how much more went into them when they're like, oh my gosh, we have these discs, we can do so much.
Yeah.
And really explore how much more we can get into the story and everything. Which rolling all that back to Final Fantasy Tactics, like it's such a rich game with a big world and all those classes and so many abilities to go into that it's just such a delightful playground.
Yeah, and I do think that there was, of course, some indulgence on the part of the creators with especially FF8 more than any other one. And he's like, look at these battle animations. We're going to make the camera linger and swoop. And
the jump from 7 to 8 for sure.
Yeah, because 7 was a lot snappier. So I do agree that they made more of a focus on the whole cinematic angle, but it served a purpose, and it's sort of like reflective of what their values were at the time and when they were creating the game.
Oh, for sure. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things like when I was that age, I didn't notice, but now that I'm going back and comparing again, I'm just like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What else were you playing? Baldur's Gate, you said?
I had, yes. I brought up that in the pre-show. Baldur's Gate I was doing for the last This Day in Gaming. I got into Baldur's Gate sometime last year, and I went through a good chunk of it, and then got onto other games and got busy with the website and all that sort of stuff once I joined on RPG Fan. But revisiting my old save, I have a dwarven fighter cleric who made some good headway through the tales of Baldur's Gate. But then I also made a new character. We have a Dungeons and Dragons channel on Slack for those of us nerds who want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. It's mostly just Tucker, Ava, and myself, but we still like to talk that. But I made up a new character. I was a bard that I rolled just like these ridiculously disgusting stats for. That I'm like, well, bye, dwarf cleric. This half elvish bard is now my new main. Because just like I just rolled really, really, really well. So they had like maxed out dexterity and charisma and intelligence. So like all like the key things that every bard needs is just like set out the gate. And then even its dump stats are all like above average. So, but I've never played a bard in that game, so I'm really interested to see how that kind of works out.
It should be fun. Bards are funky. They're always like the oddball class in those sort of more traditional structured Western RPGs.
My first actual like D&D experience when I finally committed to an actual campaign for a long period of time was playing a bard, and I was actually more rewarding than I was expecting it to be. I just kind of did it as like the off color, like, I'm an actor, whatever. I should think it'd be fun to do, but like they actually have a lot of fun utility.
Yeah. Shillelagh.
Yes.
Just whacking fools left and right.
Well, you've been playing D&D lately too. Do you have any bards in your party?
I haven't been playing lately. We had a campaign that ran for about a year and a half, and I was playing a half orc barbarian, and we did have a bard in the party. Generally, or no, wait, he wasn't a bard. He was a ranger. Jeremy, did we have a bard in the party?
We did, Caleb, but it was like
we did have a bard in the party. So I'm asking the peanut gallery. Thank you. Yeah, we did have a bard in the party. He played. It was one of our 2 roommates at the time. He only joined for like maybe a couple of months, and then he kind of ended up dropping out. So we had his character go do something else. He was like his character was like we had to venture through the Underdark for a while, and he was an elf who was in servitude, who he kind of rescued, and he was confused about being rescued because he had been in servitude forever. And then he joined our party and ended up healing us a bunch and generally being not that useful besides that. And then we let him go.
You end up mostly being a support class for sure if you're using your songs right and stuff like that. But
yeah, like bards are what you make of them, I think. And some people, I mean, it depends on how you play them. Like they can vary a lot. So
mine was definitely a face. which was really unfortunate because when we started the campaign, we were in a place where no one spoke. I didn't speak any of the languages. So I was like, well,
right.
cool. All this like charisma I have is for naught. All these
Yes.
snake people that I can't even bluff. Gosh darn it.
I was going to say, just hiss at them, but make it seductive. Do your best.
D20 to roll hips.
That's the way it's meant to be played. If Critical Role has taught me anything,
Right.
Well, I was gonna say, do you
all
play
bards are seductor or are all about seducing and yeah.
Caitlin? Pretty much, unless they're a skald, then they just yell stuff.
Sorry, Scanlan will
words.
forever be the bard in my heart.
I haven't ever listened to any Critical Role. I've heard so many good things, but I just haven't.
I have as well. Acquisitions Inc. I've listened to a little bit, which is the Penny Arcade one, but Critical Role I've heard really good stuff and have never gotten around to.
Mhm.
It is very good. If I can plug another podcast, it would be Critical Role. So
Nice.
you should check it out.
Nice.
I'll
Have
get
you
around to it
played
eventually.
D&D yourself, Caitlin?
I played a little bit of D&D with some friends a couple of years back. The campaign didn't last very long. I think we only had 3 people plus a DM, so it wasn't as easy to like have people jumping off each other and whatnot, and always having only 3 people for a party meant that
just have to
encounters
cater it.
had to be and people just eventually kind of either lost interest or had other priorities that had to
That's
take
a shame.
precedence, so we kind of it was fun while it lasted. I learned that I am not good at improv, so
But you can still do all right.
but still was okay. I had at least one really awesome moment where I kicked a lot of ass and was like feeling really badass about myself. So
What were you?
I was I think I was just a fighter.
You can
at
kick
the
a lot of butt
time.
with that, though.
I had something where like I found or got a lightning magical sword and like
That sounds
had a
rad.
really good roll, and I think I just like completely demolished someone with it. And then I had to give it back because it wasn't my sword, and I
But
should
what
have
if you just
haggled
killed the
for it,
person?
but
That's so
I
unfortunate
know,
when you have to
yeah.
give back a nice toy, or you find like something
It's
nice that like
like-
nobody in the party can use.
this weapon is so cool and powerful, and I kicked butt with it. I don't want to give it back to you. Why do you need it? You're going to disappear after this.
No
Mhm.
kidding.
Uh,
We definitely have those moments too, where like someone has died and they're really like good character. That's like, well, do we have to resurrect them, or can we just keep them here?
Yeah, well, I mean, but finality and consequence are what make D&D so interesting.
Yeah, that investment in something and then it just goes away. Have either of you done bards in 14?
Yes.
I have not.
Bard was my original rating job, which I sucked at, but I did it.
And you can play your actual instruments in that or something? Is that a thing?
Now you can, yeah.
That looks so
what
neat.
was it, a couple patches ago, or was this?
It was a little while back, yeah.
Yeah.
You basically play like Guitar Hero, more or less.
It basically it gives you a keyboard, and you can bind keys to like a piano style keyboard, and you can choose what instrument you want to play, like sound wise, and then you just play your computer keyboard as if it were a piano, and it has a bunch of keys, and you can shift up and down octaves, and it's pretty cool.
Do you use that as a practical thing in battle though, or is it just for
No.
just performance?
It's
Okay.
just for performance, for fun. But in battle, they have a bunch of abilities that like you utilize the instruments, but they're just kind of flavor more than anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which makes sense. It would just be a really weird, wonky thing to be like, quickly play a song while in the middle of battle.
yeah. Sorry, a song,
Yeah.
go. Hurry up, Song of Storms. Can you do it?
Yeah, it'd be really kind of neat, but it would be very impractical for the nature of that game.
Yeah.
But that's I still think it's kind of neat that they put that in. Did you go back to your bard when they put that in and do some little performance art in the streets, Caitlin?
I actually have not unlocked it.
Oh,
yet.
it's an actual tiered thing. It doesn't just give it to bards right at the gate.
There's just a little
I-
quest for it.
It's a quest that you have to do, and I just haven't bothered
Ah,
because
I
I
see.
haven't been leveling my bard. I've been focusing more on my casting classes because I want to get that sweet Goddess of Magic title, which you have to have all of your casting classes up to 70 and do all their job quests. And I'm getting close. I'm at level 66 on Red Mage, and that's my last caster that I have to get leveled.
Well,
Sweet.
you're the
So-
goddess of magic in my heart.
Aw.
You know what? As long as we're
Well,
talking about Final Fantasy 14, why don't we discuss the upcoming patch? There's
Let's
yes.
do that.
Yeah, there was just a producer from the Letter Live, which is they probably have them like once every month and a half, 2 months, where the producer of Final Fantasy 14, Naoki Yoshida, will get on a live stream and talk about everything that's coming up in Final Fantasy 14. So in the most recent one, they finally dated the upcoming patch 4.5 called A Requiem for Heroes, and it comes out on January 8th. This is the last major, well,
Part 1 comes out.
Part 1 of the last major patch before the new expansion Shadowbringers launches next summer. So as of January 8th, we will get the conclusion of, there's a storyline that's been going on called the Four Lords storyline, where we've had these 8-man boss battles against the like 4 deities of the different cardinal directions in Chinese folklore. So Seiryu, Suzaku, Byakko, and Genbu. And we're about to fight Seiryu, who is a sneaky guy. And they showed off his new fight. That looks really cool. It's like kind of water-based, and he summons a bunch of snakes to wash you away in a flood and stuff.
I'm having flashbacks to Leviathan. I'm hoping it's not going to be like Leviathan.
Yeah, it does look like the arena where you fight Seiryu has breakable walls and you can fall off. So he's definitely going to be able to wash you out of the arena. So it looks dangerous.
Yeah. Is that what happened with Leviathan?
Yeah.
Yes.
You get washed away?
Yeah, you like fight him on a raft.
The extreme version of the fight didn't have any rails.
Yeah, so he can use his like tidal waves, and you got to watch where he's coming from. And then if he lands on the one side of the raft, everybody goes flying, and you can actually fall off and die.
And then, and in that instance, you could not be rezzed. This was before they made it possible where if you fall off a platform, you appear dead after a few seconds, so you can be resurrected. If you fell off in Leviathan, you were dead for the rest of the instance.
Lost to the waves.
Oh, that fight sucked so bad. So so in the next patch we've got Seiryu, which is, I mean, still it's going to be a big fight, but it's one of the smaller additions, all things told. They're going to they're going to wrap up the Return to Ivalice raid series, which I'm super excited to see. I'm sure you are too, Caitlin.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
Delita.
I don't know. He hasn't shown up yet, and I feel like he's got to.
He's got to, because
it's kind of
a
big deal
for the first one. They had him as like the promo art, and he hasn't shown up yet. They did show in the newest trailer like a brief shot of Ramza from behind, and he's wearing his mercenary armor from chapter 3 or 4 of FF Tactics? I can't remember.
Chapter 2, I think he gets back. Yeah,
it's the one with like the black shoulder spikes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's chapter 2. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then
I thought you meant the butt plate armor, which is chapter 4.
Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about then.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, although this one shows off his butt too. He's got the tight leather pants.
Good for him. So
maybe it means he'll be less of a dick.
Yeah, I wonder if either he's gonna be possessed by a good Ramza, or like he's gonna finally apologize, or what? Because the Ramza that's been in the story thus far in FF14 has just been such an ass.
Yes, I hate him.
Yeah, he sucks.
So he's definitely a sweet boy in chapter 1, and if that's the one they were trying to allude to, so that's weird.
Yeah, I think they're very intentionally making him different. To what end, I'm not sure, but and also with the Return to Ivalice conclusion, we will get, so the dungeon we're going to be going to is called Orban Monastery, so it's going to call back to the opening scene of FF Tactics in some way. And they teased a very brief shot of a Vieira's legs, Fran's legs specifically. So it looks like those guesses that the Vieira are going to be the next race are probably true, as well as the cameo for Fran. So that's very exciting.
And maybe Balthier.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll show up.
Seems kind of weird to have Fran without Balthier.
Yeah. You'll be able to get Balthier's. Yeah, you get Balthier's armor as a reward from this raid for Machinist. So maybe they'll have other ones. I'm really hoping that they'll have Gabrant's Judge armor for the tank classes. That'd be great.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. I want Bosch's potholder.
Yeah, Mom's potholder. Yeah.
Yes.
Code. I like that code actually. So in addition to that, let's see what else. So this is going to be the first half of them wrapping up the Stormblood storyline, which is a huge deal because it's the expansion pack that released about a year and a half ago, and or yeah, thereabouts. So we're finally getting into the new storyline and figuring out why we're looking at a potential calamity of light and stuff. So it's a pretty big patch. The other really big thing is they're releasing the Blue Mage job at last, which is it's taking a different form from other jobs in the game. We've discussed this in the show a little bit already, but it's a limited job, whatever that means, or rather, what limited job means is that it's capped at a lower level and it's intended to be played solo with some specific solo content. But they did announce that they're releasing that a week after the patch releases on January 8th, so that'll be out on the 15th.
Yeah.
And that'll be very exciting. So FF14 continues to steam ahead with amazing high quality content, and I'm very excited to see how some of these storylines wrap up coming up to the new expansion. So,
me too.
I want to see tiny little judges running around now that you said that.
Yeah, like Lalafels in the
Little
judge.
Lalafels, yes.
Yeah,
little Lalafell judges just being intimidating AF.
That could be fun.
Are either of you all Christmased out? Because I know they have like some Christmas bear costumes and some Santa stuff.
Right now, there's a holiday event. It's actually really cute. This year, the Starlight Festival, is that what it's called? Starlight?
Yes.
That sounds familiar. I saw an ad for it.
Yeah, the way that it's taken shape this time is you are being a conductor for a chorus performance. So you just run around and like you do a couple quests to talk to some NPCs, and then you play a little rhythm game where you're conducting a choir, and you have to hit the buttons in time to the music. And
that's cute.
Yeah, it is really cute. It's kind of basic, but
it's fast at least, which is nice.
Yeah, it's cool that they were able to implement something like that within Final Fantasy XIV. So it shows to me that they can maybe build upon that in the future. And the achievement that you get for completing it, because it takes place in Gridania, the achievement that you get is called like Theater with a Gridanium or something.
Yeah.
So, it's cute. They know what they're doing with that. Mm-hmm.
Bring back Theater Rhythm. I want more.
Oh my God. I was out again yesterday. I went to the Round 1 arcade out here in Illinois. It was in, where was I? Bloomingdale? I don't know where I am. I've only lived in the city for like 6 months, guys. So it's like about an hour and 15-minute car ride out west from Chicago where I live. So I don't have a car anymore, but one of my buddies was very kind and drove us out there yesterday. And so I was able to play on the Theater Rhythm All-Star Carnival machine.
Again, nice.
Again, it's so good. I wish that was closer. I'm just grateful I can access it at all. But
that's a hike for an arcade day.
It is, yeah.
Do you do other stuff out there,
or? Yeah, there's actually, funny enough, there's a Japanese marketplace way out that way called Mitsuwa, and they have like the Kinokuniya bookstore inside, and it's like a huge supermarket basically, but they have a bunch of mini stores inside. So we like, and like a food court. So we went out there and got lunch. It was like a very weeaboo day, but it was a good time. So yeah, Theater Rhythm All-Star Carnival. I really, really, really hope they port that to Switch because it is still getting updated in the arcades. They added new songs to it on December 19th.
That's yeah, and that's the thing. Like we talked about this before on the show, Theater Rhythm could have kept getting updates. Like 15 was like right on the horizon, and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of shocking that they're just like, "Okay, we're done supporting this. We're not making any more. Now we're gonna go maybe make a Dragon Quest one." But
yeah,
like there's still so much life in this series, clearly, and so much money for them to make that it's just like, why not?
I could see them maybe doing like once they get ready to discontinue support for the arcade version, they could do a Switch that has everything. But sooner rather than later, please. I want that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would translate very well to that. But that's so very neat. All this stuff on the horizon for I don't know. Every time we talk about updates for 14, I'm just like, maybe I should just start playing that now. With all that time I clearly have.
It's really good. It is a time sink though.
I mean, it is free up to a certain point in the moment. I probably could just like go through that content for kicks.
Yeah, you could do that, and then if you like it, you can continue.
And I've always been I had this question in my mind, like battles like Leviathan, Susanoo, and any of these big giant epic fights, are they necessary to the story, or are they just more like grinding quests to like get sweet gear?
Some of the primals are story related. Now that if they are story related, it's always the easier version of the fight.
Right.
You never have to do the extreme fights for anything story related. That's always, on your own prerogative. But then there are some primals that are side quests, like in the Heavensward patch. After Thornton, all of the primals that you fight are a side quest story. So you don't actually have to do them in order to progress the main story. And similarly, Stormblood, the 4 lords are all side quest primals that you don't actually have to do in order to complete a main story.
Gotcha. And they just toggle, like when you're talking to the quest, like which version of them you want to do, if you want to do the extreme or not, or...
The first time you encounter any of them, it's always like the normal or easy version.
That makes sense.
You have to do it. It's just part of whatever storyline will be for that fight. And then you'll unlock the ability to revisit it at a higher difficulty. There's usually a little quest attached to each one too. Like, for some reason, the primal came back even stronger. Can you defeat it?
Yes, of course. It's all we're good for. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. Thornton's not the last story primal in Heavensward. Nidhogg is.
Oh, that's right. He does kind of count.
I did not make a mistake, Final Fantasy super fans who are listening. I just forgot about Nidhogg because, honestly, who remembers Nidhogg anyway?
I mean, it's a really cool fight.
It is. I was making a joke about how Nidhogg himself is forgettable, but...
Oh, yeah.
Do you fight for the Zodiac Stones at all in the Eldia Ivilus stuff? Like, do you fight Quaquilane and Ares and all that kind of stuff?
You fight. They've brought up the Zodiac Stones, like the Aura Sight, they're calling them.
Right. Yes.
And
that's hitting 12.
Mostly, we've been fighting Final Fantasy 12 Espers.
Oh, okay. Nothing from actual tactics.
Well, you fight like Algus, basically.
Right.
Transforms into a giant demon thing, and I forget what the name of it is.
As Algus would.
Yeah, and then also, who was the final boss of the second one, Caitlin?
The final boss is Yasmat from 12, but you fight Worker
8?
Not Worker
9.
8. It's the other worker. I forget the number. Oh my god, I'm bad.
Oh, the one that you don't recruit.
The evil one from Tactics, the one that you have to fight. You fight him in Ritterana.
Yeah.
And I think the rest are 12 because you also fight Balius. Balius is kind of technically both because Balius is in Tactics.
Worker 7. That's what you're thinking of.
Worker 7. Thank you. Yes.
The other direction. We were going up. Yeah. We want to go down.
Yeah. So Orban is going to be interesting because the first 2 24-man dungeons, the names are from 12. You started with Rabanastre and Ritterana, and both of them eventually transitioned into a tactics location. Rabanastre eventually became Lesalia, and Ritterana translates or becomes Gog, the machine city. So, but here we're starting with Orban, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a reverse, where it's going to start in a tactics location and end in a 12 location, or if it's just going to be tactics the entire way through.
I mean,
and also, what bosses are we going to fight? I believe I saw a screenshot of was it Absolute Virtue from 11?
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be there, if that's going to be for Eureka. Since Eureka's been so based in FF11 stuff.
The arena, I don't know, the arena kind of looked like it wasn't it in like a building though? Like
yeah, it was. I don't remember too much because I just saw a brief snippet of it too, but yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't quite make a lot of sense for it to be in Orban, since it should be all tactics and 12 bosses. So maybe it is Eureka and there's just some kind of similar looking environments, or we're all making assumptions about what Orban's going to even look like. I mean,
right. It's hard to tell with the trailers are cut in such a way to like blend everything together as well. So.
Yeah. Like all the voiceover is like, it's anyone's guess what the context is of what's being said, like how it's going to actually play out in the main story sequences. I mean, they're good at this. They're good at making trailers that make you think, oh, this is what's happening, and then suddenly it's this other thing.
Right.
Bury that lead.
Yeah, exactly. The lead is buried. Well,
when do you get your
excited.
plushies? Oh, sorry.
What plushies?
Caitlin was after plushies.
Plushies, yes. Oh, well, yeah. So they released some of the plushies that were originally only available at FanFest this past Oc- no, it was last month, wasn't it?
November.
Yeah. So the alpha plushie, the adorable chocobo buddy that you get to hang with if you're doing the Omega raid storyline in Stormblood, and the super, super adorable otter are
Yeah.
now available on the main Square Enix store if you wanted to get them and you did not go to FanFest. So I felt really bad, but it's like I had to get them. So I bought both.
They're in the mail.
They're in the mail, yeah.
And also Alpha from FF14 is going to be a job for the Chocobo in Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody on Switch.
Yeah, what's his job going to do? What is he going to do?
He uses like special. It said he's kind of an all-arounder with even stats, and then his special ability is using cards. Like in 14, he uses cards a few times that have special effects. So
Oh, neat.
yeah,
I'm super excited for everybody. I'm wanting to get that when we get our Switch.
Mm-hmm. So that's adorable. I'm glad that like Alpha is the cutest thing to come out of Stormblood. So I'm very glad that they're continuing to utilize them, and it doesn't feel oversaturated yet. So hopefully they don't get it there.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute. Well, I'm excited to see everything that patch 4.5 has to offer when it launches in early January. So that's going to be very, very exciting. January is going to be packed anyway because that's what we have. That we have Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition coming out, and like a few days after, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 finally comes out in January. Not that anybody's been waiting for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big month. I will. I think I will. I might be reviewing it for my other outlet, CGM. So we'll see.
Fun.
Yeah. Speaking of game announcements and upcoming games, Falcom at a recent shareholders meeting finally revealed what their mystery title was. For a while, they had this countdown site with a bunch of, with a piece of mysterious artwork that just said, I think it said Monstrum Nox or something, or just it was Project NOX, and they finally revealed that it is actually Ys 9 Monstrum Nox. It is a PS4 exclusive, and it's coming to, at least in Japan, and it's coming out in Japan in 2019. This is the latest entry in the Ys series that takes place after Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna, and it features, the setting is like on this place, this prison island, where there are these prisoners that are all called Monstrum, and they have special powers, and that's really about all we know. I feel like, once again, Falcom is taking influence from another developer. In this case, it feels very Persona 5. It's like prison themed, break out of the prison and stuff. So it's a little on the nose, but generally, even when Falcom, with the exception of Tokyo Xanadu, which I honestly think is just terrible, Falcom generally knows how to make their own interesting twist on stuff, even if they kind of liberally borrow from other concepts. So we've only gotten a couple of screenshots. None of them include Adol. It seems like Adol will still be in this one, but that's not confirmed yet. But regardless, a new Ys game is always very exciting, and we can look forward to that coming out in 2019 in Japan. I'm sure it'll come out here. Like, why would
at the worst it'll be not at all?
It'll be what? Oh,
yes.
And
anyway.
Sorry, Greg got fired.
That took a second.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's very exciting. Big Ys fan here, obviously. So I can't wait to see what happens with that. I want to see more footage. I want to see more characters. So far, they've only shown off one character really, and it looks like a hooded woman with like black hair. The designs are very edgy for this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody looks like. So it should
series
be...
I still need to get into.
Yeah, you sure do. Play Oath and Felghana on Steam.
Yes, boss.
Okay, do it. And also, I wanted to give some attention and a shout out to a very exciting free project that released today, as of this recording.
Oh,
not everybody knows, but many people are aware of OC Remix, Overclocked Remix, the video game music arrangement community, and they have been putting out free music based on video games since like the early 2000s, if not earlier. I can't remember when they got their start, but I've been going to OC Remix as long as I have had an internet connection. and they are continuing to put out amazing community-driven video game music projects. And the latest is a Skies of Arcadia remix album. It is the 15th anniversary of Skies of Arcadia, and just in time, they have released this brand new remix album. It's got, oh my gosh, how many tracks? It's got 47 songs arranged from the Skies of Arcadia soundtrack, and the album is called Arcadia Legends, and you can download it completely for free over at ocremix.org. So check it out. I just got it today, and I haven't listened to any of it yet, but I'm very excited. It is 4 discs, you guys. 4 discs of like free music based on Skies of Arcadia. How cool is that? And that's one game that I would absolutely love to see a modern port of on anything. If they can do it for Grandia 1 and 2 on Switch, they can do it for Skies of Arcadia, damn it.
I think it would definitely do well.
We all want that.
It's one I'd like to go and actually play. It's one I missed out on.
You hear that, Sega? We want it.
Yeah, Sega's definitely listening to this podcast. So Sega, please port Skies of Arcadia.
Gotta port fast.
Switch or something. Gotta port fast. They can even do like a Yakuza tie-in or something. I don't care. Just bring it to us.
Oh yes, let's do it with costumes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That actually be really cool too, because there are no costumes in the original Skies of Arcadia. It'd be nice to have the option to swap things out if you wanted to.
That could be a good modernization. And then, even if they wanted to monetize it, they could sell costumes but leave everything else intact, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it would do well for them.
Cross-platform or cross-game promotion is never a bad thing in this day and age.
Not really. I mean, I could probably think of an example if I really sat on it. But yeah, so
probably true.
Whatever gets Skies of Arcadia in my hands. Okay, I don't care.
Did you listen to the Songs of Darkness and Light, the second Densetsu 3 album that they just put out?
Yeah.
It's pretty solid too. So if we have anything to take from that, this will probably be good stuff.
Mm-hmm. OC Remix is full of really talented peeps. And even if, I can even say, honestly, throughout a lot of the albums, it's not like, I don't think every track on every album is a winner. No. Sometimes they don't appeal to me, specific style, genres, execution, whatever. Agreed. But I mean, if you get an album of 4 discs, 47 tracks, chances are at least a handful of them aren't going to be to your taste, but that's okay because the other 40-something will be. So.
Well, exactly, right?
Yep. Cool.
Also, and speaking of, because I'm not sure if we brought this up on the last episode, but speaking of tribute albums, there was a recent tribute album from Materia Collective for Xenogears called Omega.
Omega, yes.
Thanks for bringing that up.
And that is also, let's see, it's also just about 40-something odd tracks. Basically, it's a remix of every track from the original soundtrack by a vast collective of talented artists. As Materia Collective, if you've listened to any of their tribute remix albums, that's what they do. Is they are masters at gathering a bunch of different talented artists from around the world and having them come together to make the most varied and awesome tribute album you've ever heard. And this time it was Xenogears' turn, so that's also very worth checking out. I've listened to the whole thing, and there's a lot of good stuff on that too. So
delightful. With Materia, they do more arrangements, less like remixes, correct?
I mean,
that can be the same thing.
Something.
That's fair.
I was gonna say depends on your definition of remix and arrangement, because
Well, I guess they are. I guess getting less to they aren't as much into like the roots of, I guess, what I would think of remixes sometimes as is completely like restructuring the song and then also throwing in a lot of extra instrumentation that changes the format to being more like a drum mix, dance mix, whatever, sort of that end of things. Where I usually would, for myself, qualify arrangements and rearrangements to stick more towards their traditional roots, just kind of embellish them more with a more fuller orchestra and such like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. I think those definitions are relatively interchangeable. It just depends on like the probably I think the person who would be qualified to say whether it's an arrangement or a remix is the person doing it.
Accurate.
They can decide whatever they wanted to label it as. But yeah, I get what you mean. There could be a distinction there. I don't know that I have put as much thought into like drawing it though.
Yeah, or is it just Material? Yeah, I guess what's basically I'm asking is Material Collective very similar to the collective of groups of folks that work at or that are putting time into OC Remix as well, where it's going to be just as much the same. Some are going to be just small orchestral tweaks, whereas other things are going to be full on like complete changes. I just haven't experienced as much of Material Collective's music as all.
Yeah,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
it's very much kind of a variety. Some of them are very straight remixes that either use like more natural instruments, depending on like some of these original music. The original soundtrack that they're drawing from was using MIDI sounds. So some of them are straight and are just like trying to stay very true to the original sound, but to update it. And then others are much more interpretive, doing that kind of thing you were talking about, where they play with the rhythm, or they play with the melody, or they change it up a little bit. There's some that there's one track from Omega that on my first listening to it, I actually did not know what track it was drawing from, without looking at the track list from the original soundtrack. So stuff like that. But those are some of the most interesting arrangements sometimes, where they really take and they rework it so much that it stands on its own. As something like, if you listen to it, you wouldn't necessarily immediately say, oh, well, this is that track from this soundtrack. But
I find it's kind of nice, when that happens too, that when you start hearing those little bits of melodies, you're like, oh, there it is. But yeah, I really like the direction they've taken it in and making it very much their own, but still with the obvious inspiration.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. I mean, speaking of video game soundtrack stuff from Square Enix, there's a bunch of things coming out in the next few months. We've got the Octopath Traveler Break and Break and Boost arrangement album coming out in March.
And it's a rock one or something. What is it again?
I don't think they've really announced exactly what it's going to be.
Okay, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, but it's just it's some kind of arrangement album for Octopath. And then they just announced on the Final Fantasy XIV Letter from the Producer Live, they announced that there's going to be a Final Fantasy XIV piano collections, finally.
Yes, yay!
Yeah, that comes out in
really pretty.
Yeah, around the same time. I want to say like March-ish, maybe April. So
no longer will they be shackled to the rock remixes.
I know,
which their own thing.
I'm not really fond of those, actually. I don't really care much for the really I'm just not really a big fan of heavy metal in general. So
I think it's telling that my favorite piece from either of those albums was the acoustic version of Oblivion. So yeah.
So take it down a notch is what Caitlin's asking.
I mean, maybe just a smidgen. Not too much.
Well, it's like so many of those tracks are rock remixes of pieces that are already rock pieces.
Right.
It really doesn't feel very inventive.
Yeah.
Yeah. They took the rock and they made it more rock.
Let's roll it more. And wasn't there a jazz thing recently that you were looking at?
Yeah.
Very exciting to me.
Square Enix Jazz Volume 2 just released this past week, and I was very pleased to find that it is available on US iTunes. The album is like $15, and it's got it's not as long as some of these other crazy ones. It's got 12 songs, but I'm actually really, really happy with it. I've been listening to it over the past few days, and it's got some great tracks in there. It's got the title theme from Legend of Mana. It's got Song of the Ancients from Nier, a Wind Scene from Chrono Trigger, Apocalypsis Noxus from FF15. Yeah, and some Saga stuff, The Encounter with Seven Heroes from, I think that's Romancing Saga 2. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really good choices on there.
Oh, look, it just fell into my shopping cart.
Yeah. So don't forget you can get it digitally as well as physically, because I think if you go with the Square Enix store or something, it's going to cost you quite a bit more to get a physical CD. But it's great stuff. Also, speaking of shopping carts, it's funny because we were talking about the FF14 merch, and I've pulled up the Square Enix store, and I'm looking for the Alpha plushie so I can add it into my cart as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So
bring him home, Derek. Bring him home.
He deserves to be brought home.
He does.
He's
such a good boy.
He is
him and Marius, both.
Our babies. Hey, so as long as we're talking about shopping and material stuff, or maybe non-material stuff, Greg had a really great idea just before we recorded the episode. He thought that we should talk about what games maybe we didn't get around to in 2018 since it was so full of releases, and
Yup.
that if you celebrate Christmas, games that you would like to see under your tree, whether it's a real tree or a digital tree, as it were. So like, what games would you like to get as the year is drawing to a close that you haven't gotten around to? I'll start with you, Greg, since you're the one who brought the idea up.
Certainly. Under my Christmas tree, two of the biggest games that I really am sad I missed out on this year were Octopath Traveler and that was that this year, or just Christmas last.
Octopath? That was this year.
That was this year.
July.
Okay, cool. It's been such a blur. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Octopath was one I was like probably one of my most anticipated things for when I saw Octopath teased way back when. I was like, that's what I want to Switch for. That game right there. So that's probably my biggest hit, with a close runner-up being Dragon Quest XI. I just want some really nice traditional RPG time, but I just love how you've all spoken so highly of Octopath Traveler and how it handles the old with the new, both in terms of how it's presented itself and just with the mechanics and stuff at work. I know it's got a few misgivings here and there, but what doesn't have a flaw? But it seems like they've gotten a really good direction with everything that's been learned over this team's pedigree between Bravely, Default, and all that sort of stuff to kind of make a really fantastic game for the Switch. And yeah, that's one that my fear of missing out hasn't been too crazy, but I've definitely just been like, when?
Yeah, that makes sense. So those are your biggest ones?
I would say so. And yeah, with Dragon Quest XI, I've been enjoying. I have only really played 9 was the first one I ever got into. And then since then, I've kind of gone back and dabbled. I had spoken on one of the retro encounters about how I was playing with Final Fantasy V or Dragon Quest V, and was really enjoying some of the more old school stuff. And you've all spoken very highly of 8, which I really would love to pick up on 3DS at some point. But 11, what again was looking really awesome, and again hearing a lot of good stuff. Not the soundtrack, but everything else.
Yeah, it is excellent aside from the soundtrack.
Exactly.
You might have done the right thing by waiting, though, because we've gotten some details about the Switch version, which sounds like it's going to have extra content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I think it might be worth, is holding out for that one.
Yep. There's I don't want to get into it because it's not even like the hugest spoiler. It's just a thing that you can do late game that they're making some alterations to, but we'll see what happens with that. So.
But,
I think they mentioned they were going to have an announcement on New Year's. Is that what I heard?
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll know what I have to look forward to next year. But yeah, those are my big Christmas presents. And you can throw a Final Fantasy 12 under there as well. I'll take that.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's coming to Switch
on
as well
Switch.
Too, so I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I waited for the right time.
My dream of being able to play 12 on the go is finally going to come true.
Yeah, so you're gonna rebuy it for sure, Caitlin.
Oh, of course I am. I've been bad. I haven't bought the PC version, and I really should, because I can't call myself, a Final Fantasy 12 mega fan if I don't own all the different versions.
But I mean, you have it on PS4, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it on PS4, and I still have my PS2 copy.
Do you have like the big Steelbook one, or
yes,
the original launch? Okay, I got the Steelbook one as well. It's very satisfying how weighty that case is.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Caitlin? What games would you like to get? What games do you already know that you're getting thanks to Amazon wishlist spoiling your surprises?
Oh, well, what I am getting is God of War is a big one for me.
Really?
Because I surprising myself, because I really got turned off of the series after 3. I actually really hated God of War 3. But this game, this reboot, sequel, whatever you want to call it, I think might actually be perfect for someone like me who liked the original series up until a point and bounced off of it, because it does sound like they have redefined both the game itself and to a certain extent the character of Kratos a little bit. So I'm excited to see what that is all about. It certainly looks beautiful, and I can be bought to a certain extent by beautiful graphics. You know, I'm not the biggest like graphics, whore out there. It's not the only thing I care about, but if a game looks really pretty, that's gets me a little bit more interested in it. But yeah, I never got around to it because of either time or money, and just sort of kept putting it off. And I'd like to see what it's like and if it can rekindle my interest in the series. And then I would also mention Octopath Traveler, because I also did not pick that up when it came out, and I feel bad about it, but I definitely want to experience it. And my Switch is always very happy to have more RPGs on it. It's kind of becoming an RPG machine, but so it goes. That seems to be a thing with my handhelds. Is they basically become RPG machines.
Yeah, you both have a lot of really fun stuff to look forward to. Then it sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah, we've missed some of the real gems that everyone's just been so high on, that but everyone gets to live vicariously through our wonder as we explore these for the first time.
Right. I mean, it's been such a jam-packed year. I don't blame you guys for not having been able to keep up on everything.
Yeah.
For my part, I tried my hardest to stay on top of all the big releases this year, and there were some that I prioritized for sure. And I feel like I've gotten to play most of everything I wanted that came out this year, but there are a handful of things that I haven't, and most of those have released within the last month or two. Many of them this month. So I mentioned before that I'm interested in trying Hades, the new game from Supergiant, and it's only $20. I'm not really on board with buying an early access game, to be honest with you, but the gameplay, it looks like it's already kind of solidified into a game, and they're just going to be iterating on it via season updates more or less. So as long as that's the case, I'm okay with that. So I might pick that up. I'm interested in checking out Capybara Games' new Below.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was coming.
Which has been teased for many years, and I've heard some mixed things on it. I've heard it can be kind of frustrating. So, and due to more balance type things, so I'm kind of hoping that if I wait a few weeks, that they will make some updates to it. So I'm going to hold on that for a little bit. Grease came out this past month. That's GRIS, like the Spanish word for gray.
Yes.
Gris.
Yeah.
Also in French.
And maybe it is French, yeah. It's that beautiful painterly, sort of dreamscape 2D platformer. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I would love to check that out, and that's also not too expensive. So,
did it have RPG mechanics in it? I can't remember. I haven't looked at much.
No, it's just like platforming.
Gotcha. So it's just straight up. Okay.
Yeah. And two more. The first DLC pack for Ni no Kuni 2 came out this past week with almost no fanfare. It is the...
oh, jeepers, yeah. I didn't even know.
Yeah, what is it called? It's like the Lost Labyrinth or Labyrinth something or other.
That sounds familiar.
And I've heard it's not the meatiest thing. It's basically like 100-floor randomly generated dungeon, which is but there's
just
also
some end game stuff.
Yeah, there's like a couple of new skill trees that are accessible to, I want to say, that Evan, the main character, and Bracken, the inventor girl. So each of them can access some new types of skills, which is kind of cool. And then they have some story events that flesh out the characters' backstories and some of the NPCs from along the way, who I think didn't get fleshed out enough. So I'm curious to check it out. I haven't been dying to do it, just because I feel like I'll have to kind of reacclimate myself to Ni no Kuni 2 and relearn the game and figure out, I had beaten it, so it's all right, what goals do I want to pursue or whatever. So
it might be nice though, because they added more difficulty options. So
they did, yeah, because the base game was way too easy.
It was way too
easy. That's right,
yeah.
You were saying that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd like to check that out. And then the final thing, I would love to check out Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, which is it's on Steam. It is heavily inspired by Earthbound in terms of its graphical style, but it is supposed to be a pretty dark RPG about, it's like a retro style RPG about young boy and his experiences with the world and stuff. And we had a review. I'm pulling up who did it. It was Zach Wilkerson reviewed the game for us on the site. He gave it a 93% and an Editor's Choice Award. He describes it as a quirky, hilarious, emotional experience that simply shouldn't be missed. So it looks really, really good, and I like the idea of a blend of Earthbound style sensibilities with sort of like macabre thematic elements. So a lot of the screenshots are very enticing. So
I think that was Zach's first review for us too, since he joined.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, but congrats, Zach.
Yeah, what a good first game to review. Congrats. So those are my, 5. Not too much, right? And then this, I guess I'll cheat and slip one more in. Not that I've finished.
A stocking stuffer. It's a stocking stuffer. It's okay.
Well, we're still waiting to hear news on a localization of Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel 3 or Sen no Kiseki 3. But I've had the Japanese version for a while, and I've I don't know. I put it in sometimes, and I chip away at it a little bit here and there. But my Japanese is like upper intermediate, and so it takes me a lot of kind of brain power to get through because I'm not super fluent. So I wouldn't even say that I'm fluent. Like I'm proficient, but not fluent. So it's still it's taxing to get through, and I feel like I would rather play it in English if at all possible. So I'm sort of holding out hope that we'll hear something about Trails of Cold Steel 3. But in the meantime, I have the Japanese version, and the fourth one, Sen no Kiseki 4, came out just about a month or two ago in Japan. So I would love to play that. And since that technically released in 2018, even though it wasn't in the US, I want to play 3 and 4 at some point. So those are my answers. I had a lot.
Yeah. That's
okay. Well,
okay.
Since Derek had so much, I'm going to also append my list with Dragon Quest 11 and Valkyria Chronicles 4, which are
nice.
2 other RPGs that I didn't get around to, and I want to.
God, it's I forget that so many of these games came out this year because it's just
I'd forgotten No Kuni came out this year, and I was like,
right?
When I want to play as well.
Yeah, and I reviewed it.
Yeah, same. I totally forgot.
I forgot.
This year. What
Oh,
the
gosh.
hell?
It's a good problem to have, but it's definitely been a long year for games. I think my number one Christmas wish that I would append to my list is just more time to catch up on stuff so I can get to this year's releases.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got. It's never a sure thing with freelance work, but I think I've got this upcoming Christmas week off. So I'm hoping that I can use that time to really catch up on my games. So.
Nice. Yeah, I just started a 4-day for myself, 4-day weekend until we go back to some serving. So hopefully I can dabble.
It's not like 2019 starts off running either. Oh no, wait, it does.
Right.
Yeah, with the 13th month of 2018. And
between Kingdom Hearts and there's also the Tales of Vesperia port.
Yep,
is coming out next month, and then
I was going to say something with the Vatican. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I'm actually really excited to revisit Vesperia. To be honest,
me too.
Yeah, it's one of the best ones, and
age-old choice of do I get it on Switch or do I get it on PS4? I don't.
You say that like there's a choice.
I get them both.
I know. I was kind of thinking that too. I guess as long as the performance is good on Switch, then I would choose Switch. And it's like a last gen game, so I feel like it's not going to be pushing the system as much. So I would probably go for Switch.
Tales is another series I haven't gotten into. I apologize to everybody.
I think the only major difference from what they've said is that the PS4 version will have a higher frame rate in battle, I think.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think they all have 60 frames in battle, and then the Switch version is 30 frames outside of battle, but the PS4 version is 60 frames even outside of battle. So
yeah, that's what they said. Now, of course, that's what they're saying. We have to see how it actually performs because there's probably going to be dips. But
come on, Digital Foundry, do us a video. Now, I was going to say analyze. What? Analyze that. Analyze that. Speaking of this, is
Derek Kingsbergen can be hired for professional reviews using his great linguistic terms.
I can be. I'm a wordsmith. There was weirdly enough, this is a tiny tangent, but I was looking at some of the sales like on Steam and PSN that are going on for the holidays, and Star Ocean 4 got a remake in 2017. It's called Star Ocean: The Last Hope 4K and Full HD Remaster. That is the full title of the game. It is currently 50% off on PlayStation Plus, and it's on sale on Steam as well. and I was kind of
Don't do it.
curious. Well,
Don't do it.
I didn't hate Star Ocean 4. I think the things that I didn't like about Star Ocean 4 were the voice acting and a little bit of the characterization. But I thought the gameplay in Star Ocean 4 is phenomenal.
I don't know, I find
Literally
Caitlin's side-eye.
nothing that an up-res port is going to fix.
Well, but it is the I played the Xbox 360 version, and so this is based on the PS3 version, which has the Japanese voice option available and the like the anime styled character portraits instead of the weird uncanny CG ones. So you can actually like make this a little bit more palatable, I think. But
Derek, Caitlin wants to get you away from your abuser. You should.
no, that's
listen to
okay, because Star Ocean 5 is hot garbage. So I would like to remember a time when Star Ocean wasn't bad. But I was actually looking at, funny enough, Digital Foundry, the YouTube channel that does these really in-depth analyses of game performance. They were talking about how Star Ocean The Last Hope 4K was like the first that they knew of, the first PS4 game to include PC-style graphical options. And I was watching this video about how actually like everything that you can adjust makes a considerable impact on performance. Like,
oh, weird.
Yeah, like you can run it at native 4K, or you can like downscale it to 2160 and have like better performance, keep 60 frames in battle. And like they talked about how the depth of field effect for the blindside attacks affects performance and stuff. It was very fascinating. But anyway, I was kind of thinking about picking that back up. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. I have enough other stuff to play. So.
There's so many things on sale right now that just wants to bolster your backlog.
Oh yeah, that's the time of the year. So, well, I think this is going to wrap up our final episode of 2018. Mm-hmm. So we had an amazing year full of video games, and we have another amazing one to come, it looks like. And we will have more to talk about regarding 2018 after our Game of the Year feature is published in early January. So you can look out for discussion on the podcast of that.
Yep. Shaping up nice.
Yeah, in the coming weeks. It is shaping up nice. So if you enjoyed the show today, you can subscribe to us through iTunes or through our RSS feed, or you can like our Twitter account at twitter.com/RPGFancom or our Facebook page at facebook.com/RPGFancom. Leave us a review on iTunes. I think we've gotten like one or two in the last half year. And one of those was saying, "Yay, Caitlin," which I agree with. Yay, Caitlin.
Oh, wow.
Stellar review.
Right. It is a good review. And you can also get in touch via the Discord. Greg will be happy to chat you up or perhaps field your questions. So make sure you go over to our Discord. If you don't know how to get to it, you can just go to our main page, rpgfan.com, and check the Discord link in that top links bar, because I'm not gonna list out the Discord app invite link here. So you can find it. You're a very smart listener, so I'm sure you can do that. So check out the Discord. Get in touch with us via any avenue you like, including our email, which is podcast@rpgfan.com. We haven't really gotten any email through there lately, but I think it's just because folks prefer the more instantaneous communication methods. So
I would agree.
Yep. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning into Random Encounter. We hope you've enjoyed the show all year long, and we hope you continue to look forward to it in 2019 with whatever changes maybe in store for us, but I foreshadowed. I foreshadowed, but I think the show is going to continue wonderfully, and hopefully we'll have a lot of exciting discussions for you in the coming year. So for myself, for Caitlin, and for Greg, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all later.